right, another episode of Simply Clarifying underway. Hey, how are you? Welcome back. If you joined us before, we're on a great streak thus far. This is episode 2, and it is called Not My Problem. Something that a lot of people really need to focus on, not focusing on other people's problems. Let's go ahead and throw down some psychological shit really quick. Let's see. Psychologists and mental health experts emphasize that remembering "not my problem" is a vital tool for emotional sustainability and effective support. Definitely. Not only are you promoting individual accountability, you are preserving your own emotional energy, which you don't really see it sometimes if you're constantly someone who's doing that, but definitely can cause burnout, lose focus, mental clarity, all this stuff. Because especially if you have like a hero complex where you always have to be the one to rush in and help someone, you know what I mean? They have an issue, and instead of them kind of figuring it out by themselves, you're always there to kind of swoop and fix and all this stuff. So not only are you like, yes, you're helping maybe to you, but that person, especially if this is a reoccurring problem, they're going nowhere. Like, now they're learning that they only have to say the right things and someone else will always come and fix the problem. Not saying to just stop helping people, that's not it at all. But there are different scenarios where you just have to step back out of your box and say, this is not my problem. It's not. So when it comes to other people having issues, drama, baggage, whatever, especially if it's repetitive, it is so important for you, for your mental health, for your state, for your well-being, for your fucking sanity, let's be honest, to just step back and say, this is not my problem. I don't have to worry about it. Just by thinking those 3 words, not my problem, you are clearing yourself of excess stress, worry, all of this stuff that has nothing to do with you, right? You shouldn't have to be hyper-focused on someone else's shit if it has nothing to do with you. Now, there are people that, like, if it's family, if it's a close friend, sure. Yes, we all want to be there. Like, it's in our code, especially if it's people that we love. But there are some instances where it just does the opposite. You know what I mean? Like, kids, for example, easy one. If a kid has an issue with something they're trying to do, they're trying to play with or whatever, not like it's a health thing, a safety thing, nothing like that. Like, it's just whatever they're trying to do isn't really working. They get frustrated, they get angry or whatever. You know that they are this close to figuring it out, right? This close to making it easier on themselves. They just have to get past this little moment that they're in. So you have 2 choices. You can stop the part and go in there and just do it real quick. Or you can step back and be like, this is not my problem. Let's see what happens. And give the kid a chance to figure it out. Once the kid figures it out, the part is gone, right? They don't need you to swoop in and do it because they figured it out. And there is a special sense of fulfillment when you can take a problem, especially one that's irritating the living shit out of you, and fucking fix it yourself. There is just like this whoosh of, I did it. You know, that's it. I did it. I didn't, I was upset and I did let it bother me, but like I figured it out and it's fine. Like now I know. So the rest of my time is completely good. So that being said, kids are kids. It gets way more muddy, right? As you get into adults, because adults have way more complex problems, especially ones with the habitual problems who keep doing the same things. Like, it is one thing to have someone in your life who does a mistake or like has a situation, they come to you, they vent to you, and they do absolutely nothing to change it. Absolutely nothing. So it's like, you can see it in your head. Like, immediately when someone's going over a problem, people usually are like, if this was me, I would, but you can't always say that, right? You can't always throw out what you would do because maybe your situations are different. Maybe circumstances are different, whatever the case. But let's say that you do offer some nuggets of advice or whatever to this person. And then, okay, well, yeah, that seems to have helped. And then the next week goes by and they're calling you and you're hearing the exact same story you heard last week. Like, what? Everything's the same, down to the last detail most of the time. And you're like, so you say your thing again. You say your piece again. You know, what I would do if. And then they're like, oh, yeah. And then it changes. And then you just get to a point where you're like, what the fuck are we even doing here? Like, this is not my problem anymore. Like, this is it. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people will keep feeding into it, or they'll be just as invested in like the drama or the problems. They'll be like, oh yeah, I can't believe that motherfucker. Like, yeah, now you need to do this. Now you need to do this. And it's just like, what is it? Actually, it's not helping. You're mirroring the energy and it just doesn't work. You know, a lot of times it just doesn't work because the only person that can change someone or someone's problems is that fucking person. For example, if the friend that's calling you has an issue with like a boyfriend or a girlfriend or what the fuck ever, that has nothing to do with you. You are the vent receiver, right? You just need to be there and listen. The only person that's going to change is the person who's fucking venting. And if they don't want to change, they're not fucking going to. Because they know that even if they get really, really, really irritated, they always have someone to blow off steam to. And then someone's going to be like, oh yeah, you should do this. And then they go do that, but they don't really like enforce what they're doing. You know what I mean? So they're fine with the drama in a sense. They're not changing it. Nothing ever changes if nothing ever changes. And that's a whole other situation. But this person over here, the person who's listening to it all, it's not your problem. So whether you say the right thing, the wrong thing, whatever, it's up to this person here to handle that. This person should not be as invested as this person is in this person's problem with this person. It's just this one's out here and has nothing to do with this or this. So like the not my problem stance. Okay. 2 weeks ago, I have a conversation with my daughter. My daughter works third shift. It sucks. We get it, but that's life. Sometimes it happens. She would come home so pissed off in the morning about work and what people didn't do and who didn't show up and why am I always working so hard? Okay, well, pause. I have made it clear to my kids the whole time growing up, adulting sucks, period. Like, there's no way around it. There are things that you get to do that you don't get to do as a kid, but adulting sucks. Like, there are so many things you're going to have to do that you don't want to fucking do, and you're going to do it for a very long time. Work, bills, all that shit. Adulting sucks. I'd never wanted them to leave my house and be like, step into adulthood, you know, all big-eyed and just thinking that life is just going to fall happily into their hands and everything's going to be given to them because they're great people and da-da-da-da-da. No, the world doesn't owe you shit. No one in it owes you anything, and you're going to have to work hard for everything that you want in life, period. That's it. You're not entitled. You're not worthy of anything, you know, just to be thrown at you just because you think you are. I mean, if I could just get paid for breathing and waking up in the morning, I would take that. Not how life goes. Sorry. So I've tried to make it very clear that adulting sucks. You gotta work hard. You're not entitled to anything. Da 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 da. Another thing that I really wanted them to get was that when it comes to meeting someone, going to work, going to an event, if you are early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're fucked. Now, of course, I said screwed or whatever, but you can ask my 11-year-old and she will tell you that mantra right there. Doesn't matter what it's for. Sports, even if it's just meeting a friend for lunch. Because I would rather be the one waiting on someone than have someone waiting on me. And that's just a character situation. I have had to wait on many people, and I know many people as adults who don't give a fuck about other people's time, right? They'll say, hey, I'm going to meet you here at 12 for lunch, and then you don't see them till 12:45. Meanwhile, my ass has been sitting there since like 11:50, and They're just basically telling me my time doesn't matter. I don't ever want it to be that way, someone thinking that about me. Now, as a mom, there's life. You know, sometimes, hey, you know, I do want to meet you for lunch, but I'm running a little late because my baby is screaming her face off because she just shit herself and now it's all up in her hair, so I'm going to need an extra couple minutes. Sorry. It's life, right? You can't help that. Okay, so those things instilled in my kids. Now, flashback to where we were. So where we were. My daughter comes home, she's all irritated, bitching about coworkers and all these people who don't have the same outlook on work, on time and whatever as she does. Okay, like, you cannot control other people, okay? Which is why you shouldn't let other people's actions control how you feel the rest of the fucking day. If you do that, you're going to be miserable, and you're only 20. So, like, you're too young to be this fucking jaded and broken and, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much more of this ahead of you that why burn yourself out right now? Why? So this was 2 weeks ago we had this conversation. You know, don't let anyone else's problems be your problems. Stop letting it just weigh you down and just, you know, just stop. Okay, well, she comes home last week. Well, she's working. She gets off at 7 a.m. And because she's a manager, if she, you know, if someone's not there to take her place in the morning, she has to stay until someone up there gets in. Okay. Understandable. One point last week, I get a message at 4 o'clock in the morning that says, I'm going to have to work a fucking double. I don't say anything. At 6:30, I get another message that says, never mind. Okay, I don't say anything. I'm awake by the time she gets home at like 7:30. She comes in there all pissed off again. She's like, why does that bitch keep calling out? Blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind, this is somebody who has done this like 7 fucking times already. Chick's probably not going to have a job for much longer, but like, that's her thing, right? You know that now. You know she's not reliable, she's not dependable, she doesn't give a shit about her schedule or time or whatever. That's her problem, not yours. It sucks if you have to cover for what she doesn't do, but it's not your problem to be all like this fucking worked up over someone else calling out. Like, it's not that detrimental, right? So again, she's, oh, that bitch, blah, blah, blah. I almost had to work a double. And I cut her off and I said, but you didn't. And she immediately stopped and she's like, what? I'm like, you almost had to work a double because she called out, but you didn't. So why are you this angry at the thought of almost? You didn't. She's like, well, I only didn't because my manager came in on her day off and now she's working. I'm like, so your manager, supervisor, whatever she is, she has the right to be like this because she's now working on a day that she's not supposed to be working because it's her day off. But you're upset because you almost, but you didn't. My kids do not like when I point shit like this out because it's just like, that's mom. This isn't, you know, not what I want to hear. It's just, you're just supposed to listen to me and that's it. Okay, that's great. And I will do that. But at the same time, I'm not going to let you just fucking melt down for no reason. Like, it's irritating. Right, fine. I told her, every single facet of your life from here forward, everything that involves people, there's going to be someone who's absolute shit. Whether it's friends, family, work, doesn't matter. There's always going to be one fucking Steve or one goddamn Karen. You know what I mean? There's always going to be one. Doesn't matter. It's someone who's late or doesn't care or does the absolute least or what. It just, there's always going to be one. And as long as you go in knowing that like, okay, know that and be done with it. Like, okay, this bitch called out again. It's something that she's habitually done. So you can almost expect it at this point. Be annoyed about it, but then it's gone. It's done. Okay. All right. Very good. She's not here again. That's her, whatever. Move on with your life. And you've already left work. So like, be done. Work's behind you, physically in the past. Be done. So she's like, I'm going to get a shower. All right, good night, love you. As my kids wake up that day, I go with my 11-year-old. I take her outside. We're taking the dog out, whatever, for a walk. And I'm telling her the same story. And I tell her, hey, don't let other people's problems be your problem. Don't get upset about things that almost happened when they didn't. Don't let someone else's drama and baggage and just shitty character be what ruins your day. Don't do that, because if you do that, all you're going to do is drive yourself insane. You're going to drive yourself into the ground, give yourself a fucking heart attack. Just don't do it. It's not my problem, but it didn't. Those are the phrases you need to remember. We just have this conversation. And then we go inside. I open the screen door first, and she goes, "Mom, you almost hit him in the face talking about the dog." And I turn around and I just smile at her and I go, "But I didn't." I get it, but you sound a little bit, worried about the dog getting hit in the face, but it didn't happen. But it didn't. So now that's a thing in our house for the last week. And the one who it hits the most is the 11-year-old. And she realizes she does this a hell of a lot about a lot of things. So her sister taking something, for example, taking it and being just like that, holding on to it and being, this far away from her face, but it's a sister, annoying, whatever, each other. "Don't do that. You almost hit me in the face." But she didn't. It's just it's irritating, and I can understand how it's fucking frustrating to hear that, but you realize how often you react to something that really doesn't deserve a reaction. You know what I mean? Who cares? You do this, and and it's just in everything. It's in everything, every part. There are just some things you just have to let roll off your fucking shoulders and be done with. That's it. I wish there was a way that I could explain it, or show my kids, or show even people that I know. So many people that I know will call and talk to me, even if it's about other people, and how these people irritate the fuck out of them and all this stuff. And that's normal, right? You're venting and stuff. It's when they start to take it really personal, it's their problem, where it's just why are you so worked up because Lenny's girlfriend's cat is, not nice to Susan? That doesn't even make sense. You're upset that the cat's not being nice, but it's not even your cat, and it's a weird web of things where people just feel like they have to insert themselves into other people's shit, and I just don't do it. There was a time where I used to want to help everybody. I wanted to solve all the problems. I wanted to be that guy, that nice person for everyone that fixed everything, and everyone would come to me with their problems. The older I get, fuck your problems. I got my own fucking problems. You know what I mean? And sometimes yours are literally this big. You make them seem this big, but you don't do anything about it. So that tells me that you don't care about those problems that much, because if you did, you would change something. I've decided long ago that I'm not going to participate in other people's crap, because it's not my problem. Period. There are a lot of things that I don't tell people either, because it's not their fucking problem. Do I call friends and family and vent? Of course I do. Because I have 4 kids and life is crazy sometimes and whatever. I'm a fucking human. That's just what it is. But if there are some things that aren't going to be somebody's, you know what I mean? Why bother? If it's not something that I can handle or change or whatever, then that's just life kind of deal, and it's something that in some way, shape, or form, I am good with it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in my life. So it's something I either have to work around or adapt to or whatever. Could be anything, okay? But there are so many people who take it upon themselves to be that person for other people, just to be that sponge. And they go in and they really try to fix everything for them. And the problem with that is that sometimes when you go in with the hero mindset, you know, I'm gonna, this is exactly what you should do, and I'm gonna do this for you and all this stuff. And when you intervene in a problem that someone else's that has nothing to do with you, sometimes you're actually stunting them and enabling the negative behavior. It's weird as that sounds, right? It sounds like you're talking about a kid or whatever, but like, it's just like the repeat situations. If someone's doing something, they come to you, they tell you all about it, and then you give them a nugget of whatever, they can either choose to take that, use it, change it, alter it, make it their own, change it to fix whatever, or they just take it, set it somewhere, and go back living exactly the same. And then days go by, they make the same phone call, and you're just reliving the same fucking episode. And who the fuck wants to do that? Seriously. Ugh. So I just hope that after hearing this, but it didn't, and not my problem situation, that not only my kids, but friends and family and whoever else, like, sometimes it's okay. You're not an asshole, right? That's the other thing, is some people say, well, if I don't step in, then I'm an asshole. I don't care. I'm heartless, whatever. You're not, though, because you have your own problems. Everyone has their own problems, period. And there are some that some people just can't fucking fix. Talking about it and wondering about it is one thing, okay? But your energy should be for your problems. Stuff that affects your life. Stuff that really racks your brain. You shouldn't have to go in and be the Mr. Clean It for everyone else's shitty fucking problems. It's exhausting, it's draining, and it's really not productive a lot of the time. So I have personally been burnt out by it. I have felt used and abused by doing exactly, like, there was a point where I had helped somebody, known this person all my life, and their problem seemed big enough and serious enough that it bothered me to my core. Like, seriously, this was someone that I really wasn't that close to anymore, but because I'd known them for so long, it's like that person used me and was a weakness, I'm gonna say, because I went back for the, you know, the nostalgia of, hey, this used to be my best friend, this used to be a really good friend, and now, like, we're not really that in touch, but it's still someone that I care about, obviously, and if this is happening and it's important to them, well, then it must be an issue, and if there's something that I can do to help, then yeah, I'm gonna help. So it ended up being like some crazy shit, and she was like, she had a baby daddy who lived with her but stole baby stuff to sell to get pot and whatever, and this dude had like a warrant in another county. He worked getting paid under the table, so there was like, he was just sketchy as fuck, and she was tired of it. She didn't feel safe. She didn't feel like the baby was safe and all this stuff. So that's a big deal. That's a serious thing. And me being like that, once upon a time, I was like, what can I do to help this girl? My husband was a cop. Let me get in touch with my contacts that he knows. Let me ask some questions. Let me do some research. Let me do this stuff and really just like help my friend, right? Let me do this. I go through, I make the calls, all this stuff, and I tell her, look, he has a warrant in another county. He has a parole officer that he checks in with in another county or some, it was such a fucking muddled situation, but I went through all these hoops for days, making these calls, making this, I told her that we could have him arrested. I was like, we could tell, these people that are looking for him where he is, when he works, which way he goes. They will get there and we can get him arrested. That will get him out of this house. That will get him away from you, away from all of this shit. Like, I will do that for you. I will. She kind of wavered really quick, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I ended up making the call. I called, the police. I called the the parole officer. I made all these fucking phone calls and set this up. It was 2 days later. He was going to be going to work. So I've got this girl in the back of my car. He leaves for work. The mom's at grandma's house, or the baby's at grandma's house. And I was like, we're going to go follow somewhat close so that we can see if it actually happens. So we're trailing behind a couple cars. She is freaking the fuck out thinking that, you know, she's terrified. She's terrified. She thinks that somehow or other, he's going to think that it's her that did it. Dude. I was like, no, honey. He's so fucking stupid. He's not going to make those connections, and you had nothing to do with it, right? Like, you know where he works and stuff like that, so yeah. But you didn't set this up. I set this up. He doesn't know me, and it's totally fine. Like, you know, I'm not worried about it. I just want you to be safe. We go through it all, and as we're coming up into town, he had gotten pulled over. She started hyperventilating in my back seat. I was like, we're gonna make a loop, you know, and we'll come back and we'll see what happens. By the time we came back, he was getting put in the back of the car. She started bawling hysterically, man. And it was like, he's going. So over the next day and a half, you know, he calls her and says, well, they pulled me over because I didn't stop at a stop sign or what the fuck ever. However, he got pulled over on his way to work. And because there's this warrant, now I'm over here in this county and I'm in the jail and all this crap. Okay, so that's it. Done. He's out of the house. Succeeded. You don't have to move. I mean, you can, but now you have more time. Like, I made this happen for my friend because she expressed to me how scared she was, how just done she was, and she needed so much help with this giant problem, and it had nothing to do with me. It had absolutely nothing to do with me, but couldn't have been done without me. The situation couldn't have been done without me. So, fast forward another 7 months. Well, like everyone does when they go to jail, he found God and came out a changed man. They were writing letters back and forth, how sorry he was, how different he'll be, blah, 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 blah. He's going to pay his fines. He's going to work his time. He's going to do all this stuff and just be this great father and wants to marry her and all this shit. Okay. All right. In the first couple letters, she's telling me about this. And it's like, so how do you feel about that? I'm not going to come right out and say, don't be fucking stupid, right? I'm going to listen to her. She tells me that, you know, she actually believes him. All the shit. And that's when it clicked for me. That's when it's like, all this shit I did. All the things that we set up. Now, maybe that needed to happen. Maybe that was part of her story that needed to happen, or his rather, to straighten his ass out and, you know, actually make him realize, hey, I'm not above the law. I am a shitty father. I am a shitty guy, whatever. Maybe he needed that punch in the face. When he got out, 4 months after that or whatever it was, he proposes to her. And she's all excited. And I don't fucking hear from her again until 8 months after the wedding. Wedding that I was not invited to. Didn't hear about until way after the fact. She was my maid of honor also, by the way, years before. So, like, all of this stuff, and the reason I wasn't. Oh, they ended up having, I think, 3 or 4 kids together. I don't know. But the reason I wasn't involved in these big events was because I was the reason that their family got broken up for almost a year. I was the reason that the baby daddy got locked up. I was the reason that their family was broken up for almost a year. It was my fault that the little girl, the daughter, didn't have her dad for almost an entire year. That was my fault. Not the fact that he was on drugs, not the fact that he was shady as fuck and not, working legit situation, not the fact that he had a warrant for whatever the fuck he had a warrant for. No. None of that was relevant. The fact that I was the one to orchestrate his arrest and get him locked up, I broke up the family. And because I broke up the family, I shouldn't be allowed to be there. So all of this came about because my friend needed help, yada yada, whatever. After that, fuck it. Fuck it. When people started telling me sob stories about different things and it's stuff that they can control after that situation, no, I'm I save my resources, my time, my energy for like things that actually matter. And I thought that did. I really did. And some people may even say, okay, it's because of you that, they ended up happily ever, blah, whatever the fuck. I'll never know. And I don't give a fuck, honestly. But after that, it made it clear that if it's not my problem, it's just not my fucking problem, right? It's not. So if there's anything that you can live by to make yourself just more relaxed, more aware, more sane, it's just, you got your own problems. Everyone does. You got your own. Deal with those. If it's not your problem, just let it go. Step back. It almost affects you, but it doesn't. If that's the case, if you can say that in your head, like, I feel really bad, but this doesn't have anything to do with me. Check out, withdraw, play the next fucking episode because meh. So, anyway, this was great. Went on a little bit longer than I wanted to. Sorry about that. But thank you all for tuning in, joining all that fun shit. And I will see you next time with episode 3. So stay tuned for that. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Oh my gosh. That story right there. Whew. Oh, so long. Oh.